What we believe biblically and in biblical counseling is that man is a covenantal being, which is simply to say he's made in a relationship with God. He's made in the image of God. That's the core issue in his life. There are other issues that flow out of that, but the core need for man is to be right with God and to live and walk in fellowship with him like Enoch, like the saints. Will he have physical problems? Yes. Goes into the whole issue of what can go wrong with man. Well, what can go wrong with man is physical and spiritual. There's no third category. And so physical problems need the best medical care that we can, and yet if God doesn't bless those, it's not going to work. We have to face cancer. We have to face diabetes. We have to face all those things with a godly heart. But the primary thing that bothers man is not what goes wrong with his body. It's bad to lose your eyesight, but people who have been blind can be godly. It's not good to lose your hearing, but people who are deaf can be godly and please God. So the physical limitations are significant, and we have always worked and try to work with physicians to make sure that we're not trying to pray, simply pray and tell people to repent and change their life over what is a physical problem they can't control. But the core issues of man, fear, worry, anger, bitterness, these are things that come out of the heart. Jesus says, out of the heart come the issues of life. He doesn't say out of your left toe, or your cerebral cortex, or, out of your liver. He says out of the heart, the image of God. And so that's the major core issue. And when we medicalize that which is truly spiritual, we damage people. As conversely, if we spiritualize what really is medical, we're telling people to repent and believe and obey when they really need an operation on a brain tumor or whatever. But the core issue of man, and that's the whole core issue of the Bible. It's not Merck's manual, medical manual. It is what? It's a covenantal document, how people can get right with God. And I think we're in a crisis of faith because modern life is so complex and we know so much about the body. We have to be balanced so that we don't become modern minimalists who believe everything is body chemistry, everything is brain chemistry, everything is genetics. Significant, yes, but God never defines us as a body with a soul. He defines us as image bearers of God who have been given the treasure of a body that will be resurrected one day to serve him. And so that's why it's so important. It's not minimal. And I think it comes from the idea that, well, getting saved is nice for eternity. Now we get about life. No, being in right relationship with God is the core. Everything else is fringe to that issue. The exciting thing that Jay Adams said at the beginning is that real change can come real fast. And what I'd simply have to say is, yes, look at Saul on the Damascus Road. And you can say to me, well, Skip, that's true, but that's rare. It may be rare, and that's true, radical changes. But we've seen people who walk away from 30 years of addiction of crack cocaine and never, ever take it again. So a rapid change can come. Not everything will change in 6 to 12 weeks. The modification would be this, is that 6 to 12 weeks is significant enough to find out whether this person is serious about dealing with the problems from God's perspective. So the fact that the New Testament says, such were some of you, means radical change from homosexuality, adultery, drunkenness, theft, etc. But the New Testament epistles make clear that some people still struggle. There's a lot of instruction. Don't do this, don't do this. It's written to Christians, which means that when God saves a person, they're justified, they're adopted, they're sanctified positionally, set apart to Christ. Sometimes that includes big radical change, and sometimes some of it's left for the progressive sanctification that goes on year by year. So we want to be balanced. Not everyone will change at the same pace. Remember, there's differences. Some 40, some 60, some 100-fold. Christians produce different amounts of fruits of the Spirit. But rapid change and radical change can come, and when we settle for less, we're shortchanging God. On the other hand, we don't demand that everybody is like Saul, and 3 days later he's preaching the gospel and changed. And yet even he later had to have the 3 years out in the Arabian desert being backfilled by Jesus Christ for what he didn't get when the other 12 did. So there's a balance there, but in a lot of circles, I believe people don't believe people can change. They'll just have to go through years of therapy, and that's not realistic. On the other hand, sometimes we can jump on people too quickly and demand that they be mature Christians in 3 weeks. And that's something that the Spirit has to give wisdom as we deal with individual people.